Hi, my name's Rob Casserley. I'm a doctor working in Barnstable, living in Braunton. I've predominantly worked in the UK in terms of my medical experience, but having been on a number of mountaineering expeditions around the world, including North America in Alaska, South America in Peru and Bolivia, the Alps naturally, and also in the Himalayas, I've managed to practice sort of remote medicine in all of those places. So I'm going along to film the expedition high up on the mountain. Kenton Cool, the guide, and Sir Ranulph are the two members that I'll be filming. I've got a long relationship with Kenton, and I'm very much looking forward to being with Sir Ranulph Fiennes, gaining some of his wisdom, and hopefully documenting what I hope be a fantastic expedition. My interest in mountaineering started probably on my medical student elective, and when you're a medical student you have to spend some time abroad. And I chose to be in Bolivia and Peru, and I ended up climbing a mountain called Huayna Potosi. It's only 6,000 meters high and quite straightforward, but I'd never worn crampons or worn a harness before. I didn't particularly enjoy it. We fell a little bit, nothing major, but I remember getting to the bottom thinking that was a nightmare, never again. But the next day when I looked back at that mountain, it gave me the most wondrous sense of achievement. A lot of people ask me about what it was like the first time I got to the summit of Everest, and in truth, it's a bit like when you watch a complex film for the first time, a bit like Usual Suspects. You never quite know what's gone on until you watch it a second time. So the first time was a bit of a blur. It was bad weather. I know I was very scared. I know the Sherpa that I was with, Angnuru, my sort of Nepali brother now, it was his first time on the mountain. And we were kind of like two little boys, very much out of our depth it felt like. I kind of wanted to get down before I'd even got there. It was great, a relief, but this overwhelming feeling that you had to get down to make this a success. It's a long way up and a very long way down, and that's the important thing for all of us to remember, that on these big mountains it's a return trip. Life in base camp is, for me, fantastic. The reason why I think I enjoy expeditioning is that it takes life back down to the lowest common denominator, and that is communication, getting on with your friends, doing just normal tasks that we've taken for granted back at sea level, with all the kind of complications that we have in our lives. It's a wonderful opportunity to make a cohesive, happy team. It's not like Big Brother where they're deliberately trying to sort of go into self-combustion mode. This is about getting people to achieve their dream, which is to summit the summit of the world. But when you get to base camp, you're still almost 2 vertical miles below the summit. In fact, you're over 2 vertical miles below the summit. So you start thinking, crikey, I've probably bitten off more than I can chew here. But like all of these tasks, just like my dad said, if you keep chipping away, you'll eventually get to your end point. The main sort of health risks at altitude would include frostbite, because it's so cold, and the lack of oxygen also compounds your risk of frostbite. And then the things we all worry about, things like fluid in the lungs or pulmonary edema, or fluid on the brain, cerebral edema. And they're probably the worst sort of health risks that we face. And of course, avalanche, falling, crikey, the list goes on. Why do I keep going back to Everest? I wouldn't say my brain is up to much of a mental challenge these days, and so I get a lot of satisfaction about achieving something physical, and truly standing on top of the world and getting back down safely is one of those things. You get to experience a culture that is so different to the life that we have here at home in the UK or the United States or wherever, and that's the Sherpa culture. A very gentle, kind people who have deep beliefs and reverence for the mountains around us, and so I always take that with me and always come back with something extra when I've come back from Everest. So I have no problems going back to the same place. It's an awesome place. You'll see it as we go on our journey to the mountain, how wonderful it truly is. And every day is walking in, history's footsteps. I'll be on the Hillary step. Sir Ed has passed away now, but to know that I've been somewhere that is quite cast iron in people's, history books is an amazing feeling, and long may it continue.